Hey everybody, so today I'm going to spend about 10 minutes and go over you guys' lesson today, so that way if you have any questions or whatever, you guys can watch the recording. I will put it on our website later if you have anything you need to go over further, okay? So I want to spend a few minutes and kind of review what we've talked about a little bit before we get into some new things, alright? So let's talk about what an ecosystem is. And an ecosystem includes all living, you don't have to write this down, but I just want you to watch, and non-living things in an area. Make sure we're all on there. There we go. Within an area. And we know from the other day that all the living things we can now call biotic, because we know that term now, and all non-living things now we can call abiotic. Okay? And we talked about what biotic things are, and examples could be animals, plants, even bacteria. And abiotic can be soil, water, rocks, and can be the climate as well. And climate's going to include a lot of things. It's going to include things like temperature, rainfall, wind, and even humidity. Okay, now all of these things are going to interact with one another, and we talked about as populations of these go up, what impacts they have on abiotic, and we talked about if abiotic things go down, what can happen to the biotic things the other day. So let's talk about, let's move on and go forward from here. So all living things in an ecosystem have features that help them live there. So in a desert, for an example, so let's talk about a desert. Deserts have little water and are generally hot. So if I have a cactus, or cacti for only one, and I'm going to draw little spiky leaves at it. Leaves, there we go. If I have a cacti can live in really hot desert conditions because they have adapted to that. For an example, they have thin, spiny leaves, which are the spikes on them. The spines keep the cactus from losing water. Cactus can also has a waxy coat to keep all that water inside the plant. Cactus plants also store water on the inside. And they store water on the inside, so when it gets really, really super dry, it has a storage for water. And some desert animals, for an example, a little mouse. That's a really big mouse depending on my cactus. Let me draw some eyes. There we go. Okay, there we go. Sweet. Some desert animals, in order to live in this harsh condition, actually, only come out at night. Bats and foxes wait until the sun goes down and the air cools before they leave their homes to look for food. And many animals burrow into the soil to escape the heat and stay nice and cool. An ecosystem includes different habitats, and a habitat is the place where an organism lives. Okay, for an example, shrubs in the desert are habitats for birds called roadrunners. Rattlesnakes and desert tortoises also live in the desert where there are some shrubs. Other type of desert habitats are sand dunes, and sand dunes are homes for things like grasses and lizards and kangaroo rats and foxes. So all of those things put together make up that habitat. Okay? So let's talk about what a niche is, because that's what we're here to talk about today, and that's what your tour is involved with. So let's talk about what a niche is. All right. So within an ecosystem, each type of organism has its own niche. Okay, the niche is a job or role of an organism. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, since I'm a teacher, I have a job and I have a role. I have to grade your papers, I have to come up with lesson plans, I have to give some kind of engaging lesson for you guys to learn. You guys as students have a niche. You are to study and be prepared and come on time and do your homework. So you have a job and a role, and that job and a role is your niche as a student. All right? So let's talk about some other examples of this. So in a niche, you're looking at types of food that they eat. It also talks about types of food that eat them. Or types of animals that eat them, sorry. So the whole predator-prey kind of thing. It also talks about the type of shelter, okay, that is used. Time of day that they hunt, or of when they're active. Day or night we'll put. Okay, so for an example, so let's talk about an example here. Let me just squish this up a little bit. There we go. If I have a rattlesnake, here's my rattle on the end, and it's got a little tongue sticking out and an eyeball. So if I'm a rattlesnake, what kind of thing? What would my job be? So I'm looking for, what do I eat? What eats me? Where do I live? Okay, that is its job. That's where its place in that particular ecosystem. So if I'm looking at a rattlesnake, kind of things it's going to eat are little mice, rats, lizards, small birds. Okay. What is going to eat it are roadrunners. They're bigger birds. Okay, so roadrunners are going to eat it. It's going to eat. So I'm looking at a predator-prey kind of relationship here. Okay, where does it live? It lives in shrubs in the desert. Okay. That is its role. That is its job. Its job is to eat and be eaten and live in part of that ecosystem. That's its job. Okay? Each organism has its own niche within that ecosystem. So that is its job. Okay? So if you think of an energy pyramid, okay, you have your producers, you're going to have your secondaries, or primary, secondary, tertiary. You got to think about where is its job in that energy pyramid, and so it's going to fit right in with all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's go over a couple of examples here. All right, let me turn the light on a little bit brighter. I'm going to storm outside because the sun just like totally went down. Okay, so let's go over some examples here, so you guys can catch on a little bit more than what I'm talking about here. And example number 1 is going to be a killer whale or an orca. Same thing. All right? So when I want you to think of a killer whale, oh my gosh, there's one here in the classroom. Here it comes. Ooh, there it goes. All right, so I'll just leave little orca killer whale over here. All right, killer whale, you ready to answer your questions? All right, very good. That's hilarious. All right, so let's talk about killer whale. So what is its niche? What does it do? Why is it important in an ecosystem? Okay, so I want you to think about, what does it eat? What eats it? Where does it live? I want you to think of those kinds of scenarios, okay? So let's kind of go over this. A killer whale's niche is that it really is the top of the pyramid, isn't it? Okay, so top of the food chain. Killer whales inhabit most oceans. And our predators have not or have been known to attack other marine animals, such as sharks. Okay, the niche is defined as the way this animal fits into the habitat. Killer whales are also known as orcas. They're among the most aggressive types of hunters. Some live in pods or groups. That's important to know. Of killer whales prefer to eat one specific type of fish, while others prey on a wide variety of fish, and they range in size. So we're looking at eating sharks, fish, and then those fish are going to vary in size. Okay, so it just kind of depends on what they're looking for. Killer whales are also known to prey on dolphins, great whales, and salmon. According to Earth Times, killer whales may be beginning to split into several species. Some pods of orcas hunt using complex methods, while other fish use basic herding mechanisms. So it just kind of depends on where they are. So what is its job? Top of the pyramid. Lives in most oceans. So that is its job. That's its role that it plays, okay, in that ecosystem. Okay, I hope everybody's kind of catching on to this. So let's talk about a lion's niche. Oh yes, I have a lion. It's coming over on this side. Okay, lion, stay there for me, would ya? All right, so let's talk about a lion. So what is its lion's niche? What is its job? What is it important to do? What is its role in that ecosystem? Okay, so I want you to kind of think about that for a second. So talk to your neighbors for about a minute, and I want you to think of, what does it eat? What eats it? Where does it live? Why is it important in that ecosystem? So Mrs. Cameron, you can go ahead and hit pause for a second, and then everybody else can spend a moment and kind of think about that for a few moments. Okay, so you've had some time to take a look at this. So lion hunts and eats things like, oh my gosh, impalas, wildebeests, gazelles, zebra, as well as smaller animals too. Female lions typically do most of the hunting because they are smaller and do not have a huge mane that the male lions have. So most lions hunt in groups. That's important to know. Okay. However, some can and will hunt by themselves if necessary. When they're not hunting, they're usually sleeping. Will spend up to 20 hours each day sleeping. That is crazy. Okay, lions are able to attack their prey with retractable claws, meaning that their nails can come in and out. They have sharp teeth. They don't like to worry about animals struggling and fighting back because they have really loose skin around their bodies to protect their stomach. They also, these little guys, I didn't know this before, they have tongues that are able to quickly remove flesh from the bones. And most lions live within grasslands, wooded areas. Okay, so what is its niche? Where is its place in the ecosystem? And again, I'm going to go to the top of the food chain. Okay, that's its job. Okay, to help control population of other animals, which would be exactly the same as our killer whale up here, is to control the population and eat what's below it on that energy pyramid. Okay, so here's you guys' assignment. I would like you to identify, I'm going to squish these little guys up, sorry. I want you to go ahead and define a niche. Okay, and I want you to explain or give examples of animals niches within your biome. Okay, and again, this is going to be tour 5. Okay. Okay, so that's your job. What is a niche? And explain examples of animals' niches within your biome. And I'm going to challenge you here. The examples that I gave you were both top of the food pyramids. So maybe think of something that's on the top. Maybe think of another example that's in the middle. And really kind of think of what your producer would be. And a producer's niche is pretty easy, right? It's to supply energy to everything that's around you. So I want you to kind of think, pick out a plant, pick out a middle, pick up at least a top, okay? And then think about what their role is, where do they live, and what their job is, and explain it, okay? Your pictures for those could be any of the pictures of anything that, of any animal and plant that is in your biome, all right? That's your job. All right, y'all, I'm signing out. I'm going to, Miss Camarina can play anything back that you guys need. Other than that, use Google, use any other online supplies that you can use. There's also books from the library up at the front that should be able to give you other definitions and examples that you need. All right, everybody, have a good one, and I'll see you either next class or the day after. Miss Camarina also just make sure that everybody's quiz is in. I'm sure you guys are going to do great. And then I'll make sure that that is all on Aspen as soon as I get back. All right, guys, take care. See you soon.